Welcome to Sage Advice, Conversations in Construction with Dustin Stephens, a conversation series that examines some of the unique challenges and groundbreaking innovations in the world of construction and real estate. In this episode, our panel discusses bridging the generational technology gap and the benefits and challenges of working in a family business. Let's drop in.
Hey guys, thanks for sitting down with me today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Dustin.
Today we got Reid and Joe. Reid, how about you introduce yourself and what you do?
Yeah, my name's Reid Bangert, and I'm the COO and integrator at Bangert Computer Systems, Inc., aka Bangert Inc., which is my family's company and been in existence for 40 years now.
Great. And
Yeah.
Joe?
Joe Murray. I own ACT Construction out of Louisville, Texas. I started the company 37 years ago, and glad to be here today.
And speaking of today, we're going to cover a topic around bridging the technology gap, generational gap, if I may. And as most of us know, in business, innovation, technology is changing faster and faster every year, trying to keep up. We know it's critical, to stay relevant in our businesses is to adopt the new technology, but maybe not everybody at the company, from a generational standpoint, embraces that.
Yeah.
And today, both of you come from, have family-owned businesses, and so we think it'd be appropriate to talk to both of you, coming from a family, from multiple generations. How have you guys, what systems, what have you put in place to bridge that technology gap when everybody might not see eye to eye on the new technology coming in? Well, I'm interested, and I've known you for a little bit while now. I've worked with your father even more over the years. I never had a chance to meet your grandfather.
Yeah.
But I understand you weren't always in the business, what you're doing. You took a kind of a different path. You want to talk about that and how it led to you to go back to your father's company and
Well, I went to school for journalism, ended up working for Fox Sports, ABC News, or ABC Sports for primarily football games. Determined there wasn't really any money in that, so I moved to commercial production. So we did commercials for like Gatorade, Napa Auto Parts, Modelo beer, and there was always the family business on the side. And when I was this high, I was telling my grandma like, I don't think I'm ever going to do this. I don't think I'm ever going to be in the business. And but I helped her stuff envelopes and statements and send them in the mail and things like that. And so in the back of my mind, I always knew I was going to end up there. And the experience in production was actually really great because it's almost like running a mini business. Your every production is 20 to 40 people. You've got to have a vision. You've got to communicate that vision. You've got to execute that vision. And so I think that experience has really helped me, take the family business to the next generation.
And was there a particular moment, was it sitting down at Christmas, talking to your dad over a beer that says, hey, come back, come do what you were meant to do? Or?
He's always had, I think, a really good vision of where he wants the company to be. And, so for us, we were really a bootstrap company. I mean, we were living production to production. So we didn't really have the luxury of, hiring somebody to solve a problem. So we used a lot of technology to solve problems. And so he was looking at that and he said, this is exactly what Bangert needs. We need that level of investment in technology, but also ingenuity and trying to get it up to speed. So why don't you come over here and let's build something.
So it was your skill set, your innovation of technology that, ultimately was going to drive the business to another place.
Exactly.
That's great. Joe, turning to you, I didn't realize the acronym for your company was based off of your children. And did you expect that your children were going to come into the business? What was their journey to get into the business?
Not then. That was just actually the story was I was getting ready to start the company and was looking for a short name. And a friend of mine that was in business, I asked him some pointers, and he said, one of the things you want to do is you want to make sure that you start your name at the front of the alphabet. And so this kind of goes with technology. We don't use phone books anymore. Okay, so that was all had to do with the phone book. And so then I started putting some things together, and I thought, you know what, I think I'll try to do something with my kids who were, 5 years old at that time. And so I came up with the letters ACT, and originally I had went to school for architecture, and I still like to do some design work. And so it was going to be advanced construction technology, or I had different things with that name, and I ended up using it for the kids. And so as time moved on, I'm sure there was a part of me then that thought, if this could be something someday, that having them come back into the fold would be really nice. And I never, along the way, challenged them, asked them to do it. My son, who's the C, he'll be here this week, but he ended up going to law school and became an attorney, and he worked for a company for 12 years. And my other daughter that's part of the company, she did her own thing. And what some of the satisfaction was is that in the last 10 years, they have come to me and said, Dad, I'd like to be a part of the company. And I didn't push them and say you had to be a part of it. And so they're both involved to this day. My other daughter is not involved, but so we'll see.
Yeah.
I have a real passion for this business, and it's very difficult to instill passion in people. I've told the story many times. It's like another child to me, and but having the idea that maybe this could go on after I'm not here, yeah, I like that. That's pretty cool.
Having that enduring legacy,
Yeah.
that vision that you saw, and
Yeah,
what it's building into.
Right.
That's why
And
we have so many customers that are Acme. We have
Or
tons of
AAA.
customers that are AAA.
Yeah.
Or like, but
Well,
A1
the
is
funny
another
story
one.
is that actually came into play about, back in 2004. We were contacted by somebody from Hollywood, and they called, and I thought it was a bogus phone call the day they called me, but they said, hey, we want to see if you'd be interested in building a house for an extreme makeover show we're doing. And I'm like, at that time, the biggest one you heard of was ABC Extreme Makeover in Ty Pennington,
Yeah.
And so I said, well, sure, okay. We got to send you an NDA. I'm like, okay. And so they sent it over fax, So I signed it, and I didn't think I'd ever hear anything back. Well, sure enough, a month later, they called and said, the producer's in town, want to meet you and see if we can get together and talk about this. And so anyway, that led to, because they said they found me under ACT in the A's, I attribute getting on TV 3 times because of that. So we ended up doing 3 TV shows. It's probably never heard of these, but it was Renovate My Family on Fox. It was one that we did. We did the first episode, the last episode, and then they all left that production, and then we did one called Texas Ranch House in West Texas, and that was on PBS. But yeah, that's how that all kind of came about.
That's awesome.
Kind of weird. But
now it's about search engine, not be on that front page. 'Cause
Now you gotta be search engine
We
somehow.
don't want to turn the phone book, and we don't want to go to the next
yeah.
Google search page.
Exactly.
And now we're trying to get our Google listing up. You got to be at the top, so you get
Right.
there, I guess, now. But anyway.
And I could see where your son being a lawyer, but do you feel your kids going off doing their own thing, developing another skill set that was maybe outside of, or maybe just starting helps add?
Oh, without question.
I would
I'm a firm believer in bringing in what I call new blood.
new idea.
You've got to have people coming in with new ideas. That's part of the challenge, with some of the younger people nowadays and some of our seasoned veterans in our business. It's a struggle to get the new and younger people involved because they're screen timing all the time. They don't doing hands-on and working in the construction business is a little different. And so what they brought and some different perspectives always helps. I'm always looking for that.
So do you think your vision from 1987 or how it evolved, and then coming in with their new ideas, the way they see things, is the vision of your company changed as a result to what they're?
I'm not sure it's changed as what we're doing in the end product. How we get there probably has changed, definitely, because of what we've got to do. I've told the story, when I went to college, I wanted to be an architect. And I can remember at that time, computers were starting to be big. And when I went, they did something called punch cards.
Yeah.
And you ran it through this monstrous thing in a room this size and came out the other end. You really didn't know what it was doing. And I had a cousin of mine. He decided to go the computer way. I went the other way. And I look back and I'm thinking, did I make the right decision? But I'm very happy with what my outcome came to. But yeah, off the story a little bit there.
Yeah. But you still, even though technology might change, your roots are still the same for what you.
Oh yeah, and I think that because of that, the technology has always been something that I really look for. I'd like to try to stay in front of the curve for what we do. And a lot of times I've implemented software when I shouldn't have because it was so new, it wasn't ready. And our team has gotten upset with me, and you throw a kink in things. But I tell it, it's like if a carpenter's got to do work, he's got to have the best tools available to get the best outcome. This is no different. It's a tool, and we've got to be able to have great tools to have a good outcome.
I'm going to ask you a question. I probably should ask your father this question, but I'm going to have you answer for him, just because I've worked with him for years, and before I had a chance to get to know you. And as you answered the question, you came in and said, "Hey, I've got this skill set. We could do this, and we can go in a different direction with the company." But since your involvement and just seeing your dad, I think just how you're embracing innovation. But I see a change in your dad as well, as far as just the overall excitement, like almost a second wind of do you think, him having, your sister and your son come in, and did that a boost to
for sure
get his excitement?
Yeah. I mean, he was a partner with me for over a decade in the other business. And so, I think for us, it's really carrying on the legacy of my grandpa. He was a systems engineer by trade. He helped develop the communication systems on the Apollo missions. He wrote a DOS software to track input and output of oil for independent oil producers, and that's actually how we ended up being a Timberline partner, a Sage partner, is selling that software. We had about 800 customers or so, and I remember Timberline, they asked for references, and the story goes that my dad just handed them a list and said, "Well, here you go." And they said, "Well, but who should we call?" And they said, "Well, any of them, doesn't matter." And so that whole legacy of that 100% happy customers, that's what's really driving him forward. And I think he saw the opportunity with Sage Intact Construction, with Sage Construction Management, all of these, really the suite of products that Sage is putting out, and says, "Okay, we can put our full weight behind this, and we can get 100% happy customers and get back to that moment." So I think it really does drive him forward to see the changes in the business because of our investment in technology. It certainly has not always been easy. Just like Joe said, it's not easy to motivate people. And, kind of this being a generational thing, I'm more on the generational agnostic train where, people need to get it, want it, and have the capacity to do it. And that can span Gen Z, baby boomer, it doesn't matter. You've got people all over the spectrum in that. So
we're all still human,
regardless
of it. Yeah.
Exactly. I probably didn't answer your question directly, but it definitely energizes him that we're in the business, that we're not just, sitting back and collecting a paycheck. If we would be booted out, that's for sure.
As a parent, as a dad, being there, it's definitely, it's rewarding to have the kids there, and it feels like an accomplishment. I think, I don't think there's much that can top that.
No.
When you'd mentioned just knowing that your legacy is going to live on,
and
you create that.
Who wouldn't want that?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm sure it's probably equal parts peace of mind and frustration at times.
Oh, both. Sure. Working with family can be challenging sometimes.
Join us for episode 4 as we discuss how to handle the challenges of implementing new systems and the essential traits that leaders must have in order to lead into the future.